Tips on how to answer the question, how does your illness, injuries, or conditions limit your ability to work in your Social Security disability claim? Now, when you apply for Social Security disability benefits, you're going to be asked to complete a lot of forms, and one of them is the Adult Function Report. You're going to be completing this form at the initial application stage and at the request for reconsideration stage. So it's a form that you need to take seriously. The Social Security Administration will be relying on your answers in making the decision as to whether or not to accept or deny your claim. Among the questions you're going to be asked on this form are questions about your medical condition, how your medical condition limits your ability to work, what you do during a typical day, your specific daily activities, and your ability to perform those activities, around the house. They're going to ask you questions about sitting, standing, walking, lifting. You should be truthful in your answers to these questions because one of the keys is consistency. If you're exaggerating and embellishing what you are having trouble with and what you can't do, that can be problematic. Now, I'm going to be giving you some tips for how to answer that question about how does your illness, injury, or condition limit your ability to work. I want you to be thinking backwards. What do I mean by that? I want you to be thinking about the nature of the job duties that you've had, particularly the simplest job you've ever had, and think about what it is you couldn't do in that particular job. Now, the Social Security Administration wants to hear it from you. They don't necessarily think they're going to find those answers in your medical records. But as I've said, let's think backwards. And let's say, for example, you were a computer programmer, and that was the lightest job you held. You should be writing down on a piece of paper each one of the material duties of your past work, and in particular, as I've said, sedentary jobs. So on the left-hand column of this piece of paper, you're writing down what those job duties were. And across each job duty, you're going to draw a line. And you're going to be thinking about what it is you might have problems doing. So it might be that you have problems sitting more than 45 minutes. It might be that you have problems keyboarding more than 5 or 10 minutes. It might be that you have to get up and move around. It might be that as part of your job duties, even though you're computer programming, you're printing out stuff and you've got to load copy paper into a copy machine. And so you've got to be thinking about what those duties are that you have and the problems that you would have that would prevent you from doing that light sedentary job. And that should be the beginning, if you will, of the answer, because at step 4, you have to show that you can't go back to the lightest job you held in the 15 years before you became disabled. And at step 5, you have to show that you can't do other work, primarily of a sedentary nature involving bilateral manual dexterity, that would allow you to meet the pace, production, and attendance requirements. And so as you're thinking about the first part of that answer, in other words, what is it about my past work that I couldn't do? The next step is to think about if you were to work at a job sitting down all day, maybe doing something with your hands, what is it that you would have problems doing? Again, would it be sitting? Would it be standing? Would it be need to alternate positions? Would you have to elevate your legs? Because you want to make sure that you're covering not only the physical activity that would be required of your past work, but the kind of physical activity that would be required to do a sedentary job. Now, hopefully, ultimately, your physician will complete a residual functional capacity form that addresses your restrictions, limitations, but a good way to answer the question, as I said, is to think backwards and make sure that that information is on the adult function form. If you have any questions about your rights to Social Security disability, call me today at 727-894-3188 for a complimentary consultation. We look forward to helping you get the Social Security disability benefits you deserve.